without further ado, I'll start with Mauro Giuffrè.
Welcome back, everyone. So I'm going to talk about our effort to increase accuracy of possible large language models application in medicine and in particular in gastroenterology. So let's start about reporting a very important date, which is November 30, 2022, which is the date where ChatGPT was released to the public. And this really changed everything, opening the Pandora box for possible application of large language models in real life and also in clinical research. It reached 100 million monthly user in just 2 months. Facebook took 4 years and a half to reach this milestone. And also by searching ChatGPT and medicine on PubMed, we found that more than 1,000 articles were published in 2023 alone, so just 1 year after its release. And these also pushed major journals towards LLM-oriented research, and some have even initiated some spin-off journals dedicated to LLMs. However, despite the hype and this huge research output, the fear of being replaced by this tool is really palpable among all physicians. However, according to what we have sworn on our oath, our first priority should be patient safety. And the real danger of LLMs is the possibility of creating potential and inaccurate responses. And we know that in medicine, accuracy and accurate information is everything, because even the slightest misinformation can jeopardize patient health. I am a gastroenterologist, so I tried to understand what we're dealing with in terms of accuracy in my field. We conducted a systematic review on the topic, and we found out that the accuracy of LLM outputs ranged between 25 and 90%. And this wide gap of accuracy can be related to 3 main factors. The first, that most of the studies were conducted by physicians who had no previous or current knowledge about how LLMs work, so they just put simple questions on the chatbot interface. Also, there is no real standardized reporting strategies for both methods and results. And also, we found out that there is no widely accepted definition of accuracy. And often, these accuracy evaluations are based on greater expertise and not on some gold standard comparison, like could be information contained in guidelines. So we've tried to do our best, but we really need to know the basics. We need to evolve, to adapt to this new technology, study, and then apply them to do our best. So let's start from the basics. Generative LLMs are autoregressive, which means they predict the next word based on the few previous words using probabilistic features. There are some hyperparameters in these models, like temperature, that increase or decrease the entropy of the probability. What happens is that for higher temperature, it is more probable to generate less probabilistic approach. And so we can generate information and outputs which are not the most probable ones. What can we do to increase accuracy? Substantially, we can have 2 main approaches. As other presenters said this morning, we have the first, which is retrieval augmented generation, also called in context learning. And the second one is supervised fine-tuning. The RAG, actually, the foundational model is not changed. It retrieves information from an external information dataset and then binds the response based on the information contained in this external dataset and the instruction provided by the user through a process of prompt engineering. The second one, which is supervised fine-tuning, we adapt a pre-existing large language model, we tweak its DNA, we change some of the parameters. And then the supervisedly fine-tuned model is then aligned to our outputs by a series of processes like reinforcement learning with human feedback, in which the outcome are graded by humans and then fine-tuned again in the model. We're not going to talk about fine-tuning. Our experiments were conducted using RAG. Just to explain it in plain language, you have the chat interface where you put a query. There's something hidden behind that the user don't see. It's an hidden prompt. In this hidden prompt, there are some instructions that we give to the model. the model has access to some external data set, for example, the guidelines text, and then we input the query. So each time the user put a new query, all this hidden prompt is inputted, and then the response is based on the query of the user and the information contained in the external context data set. As other presenters said this morning, what is that matters more, data quantity or data quality? We think data quality. And our hypothesis was, do we need to format guidelines in a coherent way? And does that improve the accuracy of large language model output in gastroenterology and hepatology? So we developed and then validated our pipeline using two topics. One, to develop the pipeline is hepatitis C virus infection. What we did, we used GPT-4 Turbo, and we designed 20 questions that reflected information contained in the guidelines, and not only in text present in the guidelines, but also in tables and in flowcharts. And the outcome was accuracy, defined as a binary outcome, so completely accurate versus everything else. And two expert hepatologists, one of the two was me, reviewed all the questions. And also, we tried to understand if an approach with few-shot learning, so designing 24 Q&A pairs, may have increased accuracy. So what we did 5 experiments, is an ablation study, and compared the outputs to the baseline GPT-4 Turbo model. In the first part, we converted the information to text. So the PDF was converted to text. Then we did some text cleaning, like removing the header, the bibliography, and then we formatted the text in a coherent way. So every title was preceded by paragraph title. Then we organized all the recommendation, the paragraph recommendation, and paragraph evidence. After that, we converted all the tables into text, because one of our previous experience found out that the digital image processing tasks from GPT-4 Turbo are actually not good when applied to guidelines, and only in 16% of cases, the response is completely accurate. So by not formatting tables and flowchart, we may introduce some form of biases in the RAG. Then we provided some instruction to understand how the text is structured. So you will find the topic in the title, then you will find all the recommendation under the recommendation section, and this is what you need to use when providing recommendation for patient treatment management or whatever. And then the evidence, so the studies that made the expert provide those recommendations are summarized into the evidence part. Interestingly, using RAG, we found very good accuracy of approximately 99% in the 2 last experiments. So when we converted everything into text and when everything was well structured. I think that one of the important parts of this graph is graph C, in which we see that the huge gap in accuracy is between experiment 2 and experiment 3, which was when we converted the tables into text. So we removed some form of bias and provided all the information as text in order to be well analyzed by RAG. We also validated our pipeline using another common clinical scenario, this time an inpatient clinical scenario, which is upper gastrointestinal bleeding, using a set of 13 questions. We also explored another model, PALM, and we evaluated the impact of temperature on the accuracy. And as before, we have a qualitative accuracy metric. So 2 expert gastroenterologists defined if the outputs were accurate or not. According to this graph, the red line, which is the RAG with GPT-4 Turbo, is the most accurate model. And the RAG with 3.5 Turbo is similar to what we found with foundational LLM. So LLM without any guidelines used as context. And also that temperature highly affect output, because with temperature less than 0.80, the best model maintained 100% of accuracy, but after like 1.2, the best model accuracy starts to drop after reaching accuracy less than 50% for higher temperature value, higher than 1.5. In summary, we believe that current foundational LLMs are not good and are not accurate for patient use cases, and they may lead to patient harm. And novel pipeline of formatting guidelines appear to improve accuracy, and that's what we found in two different diseases in our digestive disease field of expertise, and also that some hyperparameters of the model using RAG can deeply affect accuracy. Thank you. And thank you, everyone.
All right. So do we have any questions? All right. While people are thinking, as a moderator, I get to ask my first question. So you showed some information or some findings at the very end about 3.5 versus 4. So our understanding is that, when you have context windows, they can really affect the ability to provide context. So can you comment on why 3.5 and 4 turbo had such a big difference?
Yeah, the main issue was the context window of the model, because GPT 3.5 Turbo has a very short context window, which means that we cannot parse the whole guideline text in one forward pass, but we needed to chunk it into smaller pieces. And then once the query is inputted in each prompt, there is like a similarity search. And so the chunk, the part of the text that has the highest similarity to the query, is then passed with the prompt. So we believe that having the guidelines used as a whole document may have had an input. And we are not showing that here, but it was especially true for clinical cases. So for all those cases where there was some sort of needance for reasoning.
All right. There's more questions here.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
You're asking about clinical notes. Or did you use clinical notes for any of these analyses?
No. We didn't use any clinical notes. We generated questions based on content contained in the guidelines. Like, for upper GI bleeding was, when should I transfuse the patient? Should I use like PPI in this case? Or like about endoscopy management, like using of epinephrine. So we didn't use any patient information here, because we don't know how not local large language models use this data. So it's not safe for the data to be there at the moment.
All right. We have no more questions. Thank you so much, Mauro.
Thank you, everyone.